Hey, what's up? Today we're talking about one of my all-time summer favorites, which is picnic fried chicken. It's the kind of chicken that you make ahead of time on purpose, cool it down, you pack it up, head to the park, maybe you grab a bottle of white wine, make sure it's super chilled, and you eat it on a blanket with your girl or your friends, your family. And if it's around 4th of July, there's definitely fireworks involved. It's the height of summer living. I'm really excited to break it down for you guys, so let's get started. By the way, this recipe is super nostalgic for me. Every year, my family eats fried chicken on the 4th of July. We go to the park to watch the fireworks, and by the time we've got our blankets laid out, we've got our white wine or champagne poured, we're eating chicken that's been chilling for a while. So I want to break down for you in this recipe how to make fried chicken that's actually better cold. What do we need to pay attention to make sure that it shows up perfectly when you're on that blanket in the park? So to get started, you're going to need to grab that trusty medium stainless steel bowl, and into it we're going to measure 30 grams of salt, 5 grams of garlic powder, 5 grams of black pepper, and 1 quart of buttermilk, or about 950 grams. We're going to stir that to combine and submerge 3 pounds of chicken drumsticks into it. Depending on the size of your drumsticks, this could be anywhere from 10 to 15 pieces of chicken. For me, the drumstick is the perfect option for picnic fried chicken. It's got a built-in utensil. You don't have to worry about bringing knives and forks. It's also really hard to overcook, and it's pretty cheap. So if you can find a package of drumsticks, that would be your best bet. We want to marinate these drummies for a minimum of 4 hours, but preferably overnight, like 12 hours. The acidity from the buttermilk is going to tenderize the chicken, and that's great, but we really want the salt in this brine to have time to penetrate and season this meat throughout. And that takes a little bit of time, so if you have overnight, I'd say that would be your best option. And while that's in the fridge, we're going to mix up our breading. For this, we're going to combine 3 cups, or roughly 425 grams of all-purpose flour, 5 grams of salt, 8 grams paprika, 8 grams black pepper, 6 grams onion powder, 6 grams garlic powder, and I didn't show this, but 4 grams of baking soda. This little bit of baking soda helps puff up this breading in the fryer and gives us a lighter, crispier texture that's going to stay that way for much longer. Once we've combined all this flour, we can set that aside until tomorrow if we're making it ahead, or if your chicken's been in the fridge overnight, we can go right into the breading process. We're going to work a few at a time, moving these drumsticks from the buttermilk brine into the flour mixture. Don't be too worried about draining these off, because we want some of this buttermilk to get into the flour. It hydrates into little clumps and sticks to the outside, and this makes that crispy, craggy part that we think is so delicious. Fried chicken that doesn't have these is okay, but in my world, it's all about the cragginess. It's all about that texture, and we're gonna go through an extra step to make sure that we have a bunch of them on our chicken. And that basically means double breading them. Round 1 here is just to coat this chicken, so it's just a toss, 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 and transfer to a lined baking sheet. After we have that initial dusting and coating on our chicken, we're gonna grab the leftover flour mixture and drizzle in about a half cup of the buttermilk brine. We're gonna stir this in and crumble it into little pebbles. What we're looking for is like little shaggy chunks and crumbly flour pebbles. The best way to go about this second step is to dip these drumsticks in buttermilk and then throw them in the bowl one at a time with our craggy bits. I like to work one piece at a time because I can make sure that the right amount of stuff is getting stuck to each drumstick. You can use your hands to kind of squeeze a little bit, but if they're wet from buttermilk, this stuff is gonna stick pretty easily. If your craggy flour buttermilk mixture is getting too wet, you can easily just add in some more flour, kind of toss it up. That will dry it out and make it a little bit more easier to stick to these drumsticks. And it's probably looking close to extra crispy on the KFC scale. One thing to keep in mind is that we're gonna be eating this chicken in the future at some point, and crispiness is not guaranteed. So in my mind, to counterbalance that, I'm gonna put extra delicious breading on it. That's why I'm breading it twice. And a lack of crispiness is not a bad thing, by the way. Cold pizza is a great example. It's not crisp, it's not a fresh pizza experience, but it's its own thing. Cold fried chicken definitely deserves to be judged all by itself, and it's probably not gonna be that crispy, but it's going to be super delicious. Once we're all breaded, we're gonna set that aside to hydrate for a minute while we set up our fry station. On the right side of the pot, I like to have a rack to drain my chicken on when I take it out of the fryer, as well as a thermometer and a slotted spoon so I can move things around. I like to keep my raw chicken on the other side or on the left for easy access, so I'm feeling good. The setup is the way I'd like it. I'm gonna get the temp of this oil up to 375. We're going a little bit high on the oil temp here because I'm gonna be putting in a lot of cold chicken, and that's gonna cool this little bit of oil down. By the way, this is 3 to 4 cups of a neutral oil. I'm using avocado, but feel free to use canola, sunflower oil, soy oil, whatever you got. Once my oil is heated up to 375, I'm gonna drop in my chicken carefully and fry this in batches. I don't recommend doing more than 5 or 6 pieces per batch, as it will cool down the oil too much and the chicken will kind of steam and stick to each other. The vessel I'm using here too is a 12-inch Dutch oven. You can also use a cast iron, but I like something that has a high wall because it's a little bit safer. If you need to move the pot around, it's not gonna splash, and if the chicken bubbles up, you don't have to worry about it overflowing. We're gonna fry this chicken for about 5 minutes per side. We're looking for that classic golden brown color and firm, brittle texture texture on the outside. We're gonna transfer this to a wire rack on a sheet tray, and then we're gonna drop the remaining pieces of chicken. While that chicken's in the fryer, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 400 degrees because I wanna finish the chicken in the oven. When it comes to dark meat, it's technically cooked at 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and that can be pretty easily done in the fryer on the stovetop. But dark meat chicken is better in my opinion when it's cooked to 185 degrees Fahrenheit. The fat becomes more rendered and the connective tissue starts to break down at this point. So it's been about 10 minutes on my second round of chicken, and I'm gonna throw this whole tray into the 400 degree oven for about 10 minutes. When I pull it out, my instant read's gonna crest at 180 or so, and that's gonna continue to rise. It's gonna carry over to about 185 degrees here. So we're gonna let this cool down all the way at this point, but you should definitely snack on some. Like, there's fried chicken sitting right there. It's crisp as hell, and you're a little snack dog just like me. So dive in, have a couple pieces, make sure you got enough for your picnic, but also don't deprive yourself. Like, there's hot fried chicken right there. Another thing you wanna pay attention to here, very important detail, is when we're eating this chicken outside tomorrow, it's gonna be like 95 degrees. We're gonna be in full sunlight, and I need ice cold, crisp white wine or bubbles, anything dry, crisp, even maybe a chilled light body red wine or a cold beer. All this stuff is good. Don't forget it. It's very important. Very. Okay, so now that I've mentioned that, the chicken is ready. Let's have a picnic.
It's a nice picnic.
Oh, okay. This is 2 days, 3 days in the making.
I'm gonna get in on this.
Let's do it.
Like I haven't tasted it before.
Mmm. Fried.
It's really good.
We got some salad from the yard and a hand pie made from Mennonite strawberries. Yum yum, double yum. So I hope this gives you the motivation you need to try it for yourself. Start your own 4th of July tradition. Grab a blanket, grab your family, eat some cold fried chicken. And if you guys decide to make it, tag us on Instagram because we love seeing photos of the food you guys make from this channel. And as always, if you got value out of this content, please hit subscribe. Tell a friend, tell your family. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you for sticking around. We'll see you next time.